On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome, I'm Jim McNamee, editor of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. This week's podcast features David Chauvin, a fourth-generation Louisiana shrimper. After the Deepwater Horizon Oil Spill, David's life took a dramatic turn, and despite the assurances of scientists, for several years he thought his family business would be gone forever.
Shrimping has been in my family for 4 generations, and it's just all we've ever done, and the way we've always supported our families and made a living. It was never ever a thought that it would be possible to have to get out this business. You was born in it, you knew you were going to be raised in it, and you was probably gonna die living in this business. So even the thought of it to one day not being in existence it was so fearful, it was unbelievable.
David is no different than every other waterman living along the Gulf Coast. Oil spills are not the only threat to their precious way of life.
When you get a natural disaster, like we suffer a lot of hurricanes down in this area, and it makes it harder. It really does to get out there because there's so much debris and things get moved around. But it's never a doubt in your mind that you'll be able to go to work as soon as you put the roof back on your house, or you got the flood waters out of your home. You know you was going to be able to go back to work and make money again. Most of the time, natural disasters like a hurricane actually produce more shrimp. With the man-made oil spill, is just unknown. I mean, we were being told by all the agencies that were in charge that you couldn't go back on the fishing grounds, that they were closing more and more areas as time went on. I think that's the greatest unknown out of all of this. What effect did the dispersants have on shrimp? I don't think, honestly, anybody could ever answer that question. I remember one scientist who was at a meeting and he made this statement. He says, listen, he says, don't worry. He says, I assure you, he says, this oil is not going to be as bad as what you think it is. He says, there are actually organisms that eat the oil, and your shrimp eat those organisms. And I looked at him and said, wow. I said, I feel like such an idiot. All those years, I've been taking the oil when I changed the oil in my vehicle, and I've been disposing of it properly. I should have been throwing it in the canal where I could be feeding my shrimp. It's like, how stupid what kind of a statement is that, to where it's no big deal?
At first, most of the shrimpers were skeptical.
I guess when we first seen it, our first immediate thoughts were the news wasn't portraying it as being anything that was going to be tragic, and then within 2 or 3 days we realized how serious it was, and probably within the first week everybody's thoughts were very bleak, thinking that this in the back of your mind, this could be the end of shrimping as we know it.
Despite the severity of the oil spill, David was able to stay afloat, and today his family shrimp business is back on track. David attributes some of this success to the shrimp themselves. Of course, some credit must also go to David's own resilience.
I think out of all the species that you have in the Gulf, shrimp's probably the most resilient. We really felt like in the future it'll come back to what it was.
David is happy he was able to stay in business, but realizes how close he came to losing it all. He knows others weren't as lucky.
It's just scary how one little pipe in the middle of the Gulf could change so many lives and rearrange things in a way that you could have never imagined. And the fear is, what if this ever happens again? How many oil spills can the Gulf take before it starts having a more of a negative effect than what this one's already had?
To learn more about people like David, still dealing with the consequences of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and the scientists trying to help them understand these impacts, visit our website at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant from the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.